Okay, so we're in Kathy's website on her resources page, and we're going to adjust this image. So when it loaded pretty small. So when you zoom in, it gets blurry. So we want to make sure we have the large image there. And then I'm going to also show you a separate way to do it within Divi that will open it in a Lightbox. So that's a kind of an added feature. But right now it is embedded in the text module in Divi. And so we'll make this adjustment first, and then I'll show you the alternate way. So I'm going to go into module settings. And here we have the module, and there is where the book is embedded, right? So I'm just going to click it, and I'm going to click delete, and that goes away. And we're going to re-add it a little different way, or with a few different settings in mind. So I'll click add media.
I knew you'd know what you were doing much better than me. I said, I knew you would know what you were doing much better than me.
No worries. Oh, and let me start by saying wherever we want this image to be, we want our cursor there. So there's my cursor in the middle, right? And I'm going to click add media, and it opens the media library. I'm going to find the image that we want. It's the book cover image here. Now, just a minute ago, it was in here and it had a title in here. And I told Kathy, we want to remove that title. And so I have removed it because it was kind of a file name title that didn't make much sense. And when you have a title in that field, it will show up when you hover over the image. It pops up in a little box, and it's just not a really nice display. Kathy asked about alt text, and so that's why we're back. So the alt text is good, and the alt text's primary purpose is for screen readers for the visually impaired, right? There's some people that have really bad vision, and they want to be able to still view the site and learn things about the different elements on the site. So there's this software called screen readers that will read this alt text to the viewer, right? To tell them more about that image. So you want it to be descriptive of the image, but what we've also found is that the search engines index this alt text. And so you also get some added SEO value. My thing keeps coming up.
Would you say front cover?
So I would put the title of the book, Welcome to Non-Overwhelm, maybe book cover. And then you could put author Kathy York. Okay, because you want to keep in mind that if somebody is using a screen reader and they come to this cover and they can't see it clearly for whatever reason, visually impaired, maybe they're colorblind, right? And so it doesn't come out very well. This is what's going to be read. So it needs to make sense. You don't want to just put in keywords in there. A lot of people try to game the system for search engine optimization and put stuff in there that isn't really descriptive of that image. So we want to be true to its purpose and make it descriptive. But you can also at the same time.
Can you say front cover? Because if it's going to read it to them, then they will know there is also a back cover.
Yes.
Available.
Let's put front cover, because then if you do add the back cover image, that's a way to differentiate.
And I will do. In fact, I had it in there yesterday and then it was all blurry, so I took it out.
Okay. Okay. So the blurry part, good segue. We want to make sure that the image is large enough that if we expand it, doesn't become blurry. So first thing to think about is the original size that this was uploaded is right here, 533 pixels wide by 800 pixels tall. That's plenty big for viewing on the web. So that's a good size. I think I have your site set for a max either height or width of 800 pixels. So your site's set that way. But just to keep that in mind. Now, as you scroll down this sidebar here, you'll see this attachment display settings. And this gives you some settings for this image. You could link it somewhere if you wanted to, but this size is what we're concerned with in terms of having this display nicely. It defaults to medium. We want it to be full size, even though when you see it, it's going to be too big, right? But I want to default it to full size and then downsize it, because then when it's upsized, when you zoom in, it has the full image size to display. So here it is, right? Way too big. So now let's click on it. And this is the part that gets a little bit tricky because within the Divi builder that we're using here, I don't really have the option to see some settings that you would see if you were using the standard editor. But what I can do is drag the corner to whatever size I want it to display, right?
Right.
And it's still, it is still the full resolution image because we inserted it that way, right? So I'm going to click save there, and I'm going to go ahead and click save here, and I'm going to exit the visual builder, and then we're going to test this. Then we'll come back and I'll show you another way to do this within Divi that will give us a Lightbox pop-up effect, because this is just embedded, so it won't do that. But there it
Let
is.
me ask you real quickly, because other people might want to do this too. I also want to put the back cover there. So I do what you just did, and I just put a little space between the two, which is what I did yesterday, but then it didn't, you just showed me how to redo the image. So I just go back in and do what you just did to the back cover and then pull it in right next to this, and I'll be fine.
You can do that. Now, WordPress gets a little bit finicky with photos because it needs to anchor the photo to text. And so if you have two photos side by side, they won't necessarily align the way that you want them to. And also when you're looking at them on a cell phone, they have a tendency to do things like overlap instead of stacking. So the second method that I'm going to show you is a great way to use the functionality of Divi to solve that problem too. So we'll get to that. First of all, let's scroll this bigger, right? So now if I zoomed in real big, it stays clear, right? So it didn't get all blurry like it did before. So let me zoom my browser back out to normal. So
yeah, the only photo on the back is a Gravatar. The back covers almost all text, and then the little Gravatar around the bio. So
okay. So it's going to be important, especially for that image, to be visible, right? You want to display it small like this, but you want people to be able to zoom in to read that text, right?
Right.
And this is a good solution. You've put the text there. Okay, so let's go back into the Divi builder, and let me show you how to add this image as a module of its own, so that we can use the Lightbox feature. Okay, so first of all, we've got this text all in one text box, right? So if I open the module settings, I can see all the text on this page all the way down to that video, which is fine if that's if just displaying text is all you need to do. But now we want to display not only text, but also this image, right? So we're going to give it its own module, which means we have to split this text in two. So here's how I do that. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to use the functionality here to duplicate the module. Remember, I'm in the builder, so none of this shows up on the front end until I save it, right? So now I have that text module twice. And on the first one, I'm going to open it up, the top one here, and I'm going to delete everything from that photo down. Okay, because the images are going to be our dividing point. I'm even going to delete the video, and I'm going to go to the text tab and just make sure, right? Let's see, it ended with starting today, and we have some extra code in here, starting today. So let me, okay, there's what the extra code was, the iframe for that video, because we don't need that anymore. Okay, so there's just the text that we want to appear above the image, right?
Right.
Okay, and now here's the second, the duplicated module. So I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to delete the image because we're going to do it differently. And I'm going to delete everything above the image. So now what I have is two modules, each with half of the text above the image and the text with the video at the bottom that I want to be below the image, right?
Yeah, and when my back cover comes in, that text is going to go away, and now I can get rid of it, and the other thing's going to be there by itself. That works.
And your back cover, you could do the same way, but then let me tell you about that in just a second. Okay, so here's the top text image. I'm going to click on that, and then this button comes up to add a new module, right? So I'm going to click that, And the module I want is called image. There it is. And it pulls up this little modal, so I can go click on that placeholder and choose the image. There it is.
Ah,
Same thing. I would do the same thing. I want to make sure that, oh, it didn't save the alt text. How interesting. I thought that it would. Okay, so this is welcome to non-overwhelm. Oh, book, I think is what I had. Book, front, cover, author, Kathy York. Okay.
yeah, make
And
sure you
then,
say it this time. I've done that before too.
and I might need to do it again, so I'm going to copy it. Okay. And then down here at the bottom, same thing. We want to just check those attachment display settings that it's going to be attaching the full size image, right? And we click upload an image. It's uploading it to this module. So now we have this image in the module, and I can click here on link, and I can tell it to open in a Lightbox, right? So a couple things about it. It's going to display it as large as there is space for it to display. For one thing. So now I need to adjust the size because again, that's way too big. So let me go back into that module. I'm going to go into the design settings. Here's the sizing. Say I want it to be 50% of, oops, of that, of the available size, right? That's still a little big. Maybe I want it to be 25%. Or I can set a fixed width, but remember that a percentage is going to be better because it'll be a percentage on a tablet or a phone,
Right.
right? You can also, again, we're getting pretty
That's a
technical,
good point.
Divi,
Yeah.
but by clicking this icon here above the little width, this little submenu, I can make that percentage different on the tablet view. So it was defaulted to auto because I hadn't saved it yet. But let's say, so maybe on tablet it's 50%, and maybe on phone, again, it's going to fill the space available. Maybe I only want it to be 40%, but those can be the same or they can be different, right? That's too small. There we go. We'll leave it at that for phone. So, okay, so there's my image, right? Now, if I want it to be centered, because it was centered before, again, I can go into design, alignment, and just click this middle one and it'll center it. That's the alignment for that image. Okay, so I'm going to save. I'm going to exit the builder so that you can see this Lightbox feature that I was referring to. So there's the image. And now if I click that, now it pops it up and makes it larger and easy to read, right? And then you just,
That's how that's done.
can
Okay,
close
so
that.
when my back cover is done, I want to do that too, but it looks like maybe I can't put it side by side, or can I?
So that's step 2 of this. And so let me go back into the visual builder.
Because then
So-
I'd have to tell that to go to the left, I guess. So,
Well, but you're right about not being able to put another module next to it, because remember, we're dealing with sections, rows, and columns, right? And in this particular row, we have it set to be 2 columns, a 1/3 and 2/3 columns. So if you want to, within this right-hand column, you want to have more columns, we have to choose a different kind of row, right? So here's what I would do with that. We're going to kind of repeat the same process I did for duplicating this text module, but we're going to duplicate the whole row. Okay, so duplicate the row. So now we have this row here, and we have a copy of it starting down here. Okay, and so now, since I have a copy, I'm comfortable deleting this text below. And wait, oh, that was an extra one somehow. The back cover,
you're gonna have to do your
There.
control minus and pull that down smaller so you can see
the
everything.
back cover, yeah. So I'm going to delete the back cover text, and I'm going to delete the button that's at the bottom. And so now I have the image at the side, I've got the coming soon text, and I have the one photo, right? And then I've repeated that. Well, on this second part, I don't need the image to be repeated, and I don't need the coming soon to be repeated, and I don't need the module to be repeated, right? I just need the rest of the text on the page.
Right.
So now we have recreated our page. We've recreated our page. Kathy, did I delete something I wasn't supposed to?
I
Or
don't
does
think
this
so.
look right?
Go back up, go back up. I think because the, yeah, the Zoomcast is the next thing.
Back cover design, Zoomcast. But what about down here? Is this what was next? Guest podcast website?
Yeah, and then
usability?
the website usability seminar, which they get free if they
Okay.
subscribe. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't delete something that I wasn't supposed to, so.
I don't think so.
Okay, because that's all in one row. Everything down below is in one
Right.
row.
And then if and when I can get that back cover put on there,
Okay.
I'll take that text out, but
Okay, so what we're gonna do then is put an entirely new row in between this top part and the bottom part, right? So I'm gonna hover over that and I'm gonna click add a new row. Now we've got 1/3, 2/3, and I know I want those two images to sit side by side. Maybe this row has 3 columns, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna drag this image to the middle column. And it's tiny.
oh,
Because now it's showing 50% or whatever that percentage was, 25% of the available size. So now it's too tiny. So I'm just going to reset those settings and let the image fill the size. And now I'll adjust it down a little bit more. So let's make it 75%, right? There, that looks like a pretty good size, right?
mhm.
And let's check it on tablet. Let's go. Well, this is going to stack it on tablet, it looks like. So let's leave it like that. And then same
And that's
on phone.
fine.
So
Yeah.
that's fine on tablet and phone. Okay, so we'll click the green arrow or checkbox to save that. And now I want to I'm going to add a placeholder for the back cover. Actually, it's in the media library. So we'll just go ahead
It's
and add
there.
it.
Yeah.
So
And
rather
this is the
than
one that really needs the light box. So that would be great.
adding another image module and having to do those settings all over again, I'm just going to duplicate this one. I'm
And then
going to
put the other
drag
photo in.
one over there, and then I'm going to go into it. I'm going to change the image, right? Instead of the front cover, we're going to change it to the back cover.
Yeah.
Back cover. Let's check. See, there's our title. We don't want that in there, but let's see if I still have it. Yeah, so this is the front cover alt text. So now I'm just going to go in and change that to say back cover.
And then I'll just put a note that the back cover isn't done, but here is a draft of it. Yeah. Okay.
And then full size, we're checking the size there, and we're going to click upload. And the Lightbox setting is already there. The size settings are already there because they're there from this module, right? Now, one
Wow.
other thing we could do is let's look at the row width here, right? Our row size is 80% of 100% width. And this one is the default, which is less than that. So let's make it the same. Let's try it the same and see. 80% of 100%. So it makes them a little bit bigger, which we
Yeah.
can, you can go in and adjust, Kathy, if you want to. Okay, and then you're going to change the text here to talk about the back cover. You know how to do that. So I'm going to click save.
Yeah, I can take that off.
And I'm going to click exit.
I'm excited to see that in the Lightbox because it has a lot of good info, but people couldn't see it because it was all smudgy.
And there we go.
Yeah.
So now it opens up nice and big.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Awesome. Okay, we're done.